apologies in advance, Bo. I don't know exactly what, how much interest that you'll have in this one.
Oh, okay.
But I think you might be able to take some interest from it anyway, because there is a major trend that we've seen in pop culture and media for years now of trying to turn the bad guy into the coolest guy, and you need to valorize the villains of any story, and you need to see that the good guys, the goody two shoes, they're actually Boy Scouts. They're evil because they uphold order being fascism, and therefore you need to sympathize with the forces of chaos, and therefore be the bad guy, because, to be honest, our entire culture valorizes chaos, valorizes hedonism. If you want to be able to live in an orderly, kind place with structure, like, say, an Iceland, as we were just discussing, that means that you're a terrible, terrible person. And this, what I've got coming now, is an excellent example of that, because there has been a new game released just the other day, I think 2 days ago, in fact, called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now,
all right. I watched the original Suicide Squad. Didn't care.
It's not based on the films, although it's obviously taken a lot of inspiration from them. Nobody really cared about the Suicide Squad until they started getting shoved down people's throats, probably as a result of the oversaturation that we've had of Harley Quinn media in the past 15 years or so. Harley Quinn used to just be in Batman universe, Joker's quirky girlfriend. But over the past 15 years, she has morphed from that, and they've tried to turn her into her own pop cultural icon, feminist empowerment symbol, where she got over her toxic boyfriend and now she just lives her quirky, goofy life, and she's out with her friends doing fun things. You know, it's that kind of attitude. But honestly, I'm sick of it. I want them to retire the character, and I want them to retire this constant, safe, edgy, villains are the good guys, heroes are the bad guys, really deep down when you think about it. And it follows up what I was talking with you about recently on the podcast, Callum, where we spoke about Watchmen, and how Alan Moore, the creator of Watchmen, just can't get over. He can't understand why the one character he wrote with any principles, who wasn't just a nihilist in the story of Watchmen, is the one that loads of people connect with and enjoy as a character. Rorschach. Oh, well, he's smelly and he eats beans straight from the tin. Why would you like him? Well, because he has morals, he has guiding principles, and he murders the bad guys who need murdering. Like, one of the scenes you wrote into the story is him killing a pedophile who got away with it. And you expect, but then again, Alan Moore, I would expect you.
Why would people like this?
Alan
I have no
Moore,
idea, mate.
Some of the stories he's written, he would probably have been expecting, why didn't they empathize with the pedophile? Being a fat communist himself.
Yeah, isn't Alan Moore one of those people a bit like, perhaps a bit like Stephen King, where some of the things they've written are superb?
Yes.
There's sort of no question that their ability to write and to tell stories is excellent. But then when you get them talking about politics in their real life, they're just sort of an insane.
He is an insane
boomer
communist.
libtard.
He's a full-on communist.
Right, okay.
And he also, in the 1990s or 2000s, he wrote a story that was about lots of teenage fairy tale characters like Alice from Alice in Wonderland meeting up together and sexually experimenting with one another, illustrated by his wife, strangely. So take that as you will. So the Suicide Squad game is based within the Arkham universe. Have either of you played the Batman Arkham games?
No.
All right.
So I remember one had like 9 out of 10s all over the place.
All 4 of them were all very, very highly rated when they came out, because the first one, Arkham Asylum, came out in 2009, which was at the tail end of the PlayStation 2, early PS3 franchise games trend, where you would get lots of PlayStation 2 games and other consoles releasing superhero and other franchise games, licensed games that weren't very good. You would get the occasional gem, like a Spider-Man 2 would come out, but most of them were really quick rush jobs made so that they could align with the release date of a film. They weren't very well made. They were never very well reviewed. Arkham Asylum was done by a British company called Rocksteady, who put a lot of love and effort into it. It really showed. It was a smash hit. And then the other 2 games released by them, Arkham City and Arkham Knight, excellent, very well reviewed. They even had a spin-off, Arkham Origins, which was also fantastic, if not quite as well received when it first came out. And people through that experienced a story of Batman from all the way when he started to the end of his career, and they fell in love with the character. And Suicide Squad has pissed people off because, as you know, what, you like a good guy? You like a good guy who explicitly stands up against the forces of chaos. Can't be having that, can we? And just to confirm, there are articles questioning it. Is it set in the Arkham universe? Before I go on to some major spoilers since the game has come out, although these spoilers have been available for a little bit, for a reason we'll get into in just a moment. And they say in here, yes, it is in the same canon. In fact, there are lots of references to the original 4 games, and also there is a Batman museum where you can examine all of the events of the original Arkham games. So this is set within the same universe. This is done by Rocksteady, who are the games studio who did the original 3 games, not the spin-off, but this is the first game, I think, that they've released in that time for 9 years. I think they might have had something to do with one called Gotham Knights, but I'm not fully up to speed on that. And then it came out the other day, and immediately articles start coming out like this earlier today from BBC. Where are the reviews for it? Why is no one reviewing this game? Why is nobody talking about it positively in the mainstream media? After years in development, it's finally out, but where are the reviews? Kill the Justice League is a tough follow-up for the UK-based studio. Its Arkham trilogy of Batman games were innovative, influential, and are regarded by some as the greatest superhero titles ever. I would probably agree with that. Fans of those single-player adventures weren't too impressed when Kill the Justice League, a multiplayer-focused squad shooter, always online, was first revealed in 2020. That's another part of the trend here. Single-player game franchise, then you turn it into a squad-based multiplayer shooter so that you can try and extract money from people constantly. Because with that kind of format, the live service model, you can always have microtransactions, tiny slivers of content that you can be releasing that kind of nickel and dime, you penny pinch your way into making a profit on games like this. The biggest concern for many was the studio shift from one-player games to a live service multiplayer model where a stream of new content, usually with an extra charge, is regularly added to the game. After early previews of the game were less than positive, major gaming site IGN, which published one of them, said it had been refused a review copy. It wasn't alone. Most journalists only received codes on Tuesday when the online game servers were switched on. So that's an interesting sign. And then you get articles like this. Why Batman fans hate Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League. And yeah, it's because the game lives up to its subtitle. Kill the Justice League. Batman's a part of the Justice League. So this character, who is the same character that you followed all of this time, you've seen all of his struggles, you've gone through all of his emotional ups and downs, you kill him as part of this. Really unceremoniously as well, because the Suicide Squad themselves are joke characters. Harley Quinn is the insane girlfriend of Joker. One of the characters is a big shark. One of the other characters is a guy who uses a boomerang as a weapon. Yeah, these are the guys who are going to end up killing Superman, Batman, The Flash in the most disrespectful ways possible. So the flagship character that you built your reputation as a studio off of, let's humiliate him and destroy him in the worst way possible, because otherwise chuds, like myself, wouldn't know that he's not cool anymore. You have to be in with the Harley Quinn crowd. You have to be Boomerang Man's biggest fan now.
Do they make you shoot Batman in the dick? Because that is what always seems to be in these feminist.
That was in Ghostbusters. Yeah,
it's actually in quite a few things where the baddie gets shot in the dick, and feminist types or soy boys always think it's hilarious. They always think it's hilarious.
They don't go quite that far, but they do have it so that Harley Quinn is the one that pulls the trigger. Harley Quinn, who in the second game, Arkham City, when you're first introduced to her in that one, is a joke boss fight because she tries to attack Batman and he basically just bitch slaps her to the side because he's Batman and she is an acrobatic former mental health nurse. Like, she was a psychiatrist. She's not anything threatening to him. But no, now she's the one killing him. And after this, searches, this isn't exactly translating to direct refunds, but even before the game came out, searches on Google for Suicide Squad refund surged 791%. And there was another reason for that, because as with all online service model games, as with all games in general, you can't release them as a proper product, as a fully finished product that works, and there were immediate issues. After launch of the preview, Rocksteady took the game entirely offline to fix a devastating bug that would lead to new players receiving 100% completion of the entire game without having done anything.
Sounds like a pretty big bug.
Yeah,
I really want to bring back physical CD-ROMs for video games, so the developers actually have to fix the fucking thing before they send it to you.
Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to announce that we have a new line of merch in our merch store. The merch store was kind of empty for a while, and so I thought, right, okay, what do I actually want on shirts? And so I just went through some of the most epic and true things that I think that historical people have said, and John managed to make an amazing set of merch out of it. And we will have extra things coming in the store, such as posters for these to go on. Thanks for everything, folks. Now back to the video.
this led to major story spoilers permeating even further around the web, and considering the story is one of the few positive points, and we'll get to that, from the preview round, it comes in as particularly egregious. As an always online game, even if you're playing solo for the story, you no longer have access as Rocksteady continues its maintenance periods. So if other massive bugs happen like that, and they need to take the service offline, this game that you've paid 60, 70, however much you paid for it, because games are getting more expensive by the day, you can't access it. You can't touch it. You just have to stare at a screen that says servers are in maintenance right now.
But sincerely, bring back, it has to be a Blu-ray disc. I don't care. I want physical discs again, where I own the thing, and it has to be finished when it's sold to me.
I know. I feel like there needs to be some kind of class action against game studios. So they say, right, if you're selling me a game, if I'm paying for a game, it needs to be finished. Because loads of games have been doing this for ages, where you'll buy the disc, because even if you get the disc, you can still have updates sent to it through your online services. You buy the disc, you put the disc in, and people have found, I think it was one of the Street Fighter games that came out in the past few years by Capcom, that they sold you a release day DLC for the game that people jailbroke and found was on the disc already. It was actually on the disc. They just locked it off, and you had to pay an extra bit of money for a code that would unlock that content on the disc for you. You should be sued for that. I'm sorry, there is no excuse for that kind of behavior. You are a snake oil salesman. You are a shuckster.
I have sold you a washer dryer, but you must now pay me $20 for the download code for the washer setting.
Yeah. So,
is this a PC game then, I take it?
I think PC and consoles, I think. So I was wondering why, before the game even came out, why there were loads of clips and audio files from the game later on, like the audio file of Batman being killed was already on Twitter, and I wondered how they'd got a hold of that, and it was because of this massive F-up that they had that meant, oh, I can just go through the whole, I've not even done anything, and I've beat the game somehow. Let's watch some of the cutscenes. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there was all that going on. To add salt to the wound as well, the classic Batman actor, the voice actor for the cartoons ever since the 1990s, Kevin Conroy, had died back in 2022. And it was originally reported, I don't think it's accurate now, but it was originally reported that this was his last performance in the role, because he'd done all of the Arkham games before as well, except the spin-off one. So people were very annoyed that his last performance for the role was one in which the character was humiliated and spat on. But at the same time, he was a progressive, as much as I respect the work that he did, and he did agree to do the role and come back for it, and he agreed to this depiction of the character and said that he quite enjoyed it. So that's on him. As much as I respect the work that he did, he chose to be part of it. And then let's go to see some of the other things that have come out about the game. So we have these screens where you've got the description of Wonder Woman versus the description of Green Lantern, who is, to be fair, Jon Stewart has been a diversified version of the Green Lantern since the 90s. So you can't complain about that. Although Wonder Woman looks particularly diversified in this 100% diverse cast here.
It's not Wonder Woman.
Green Lantern used to be white though, but just a long time
There was
ago.
Hal Jordan, and then I think it was in the early 90s, a big storyline killed him off for a bit, and they replaced him with this guy, Jon Stewart.
Because wasn't there a film and it was
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, he was playing the original. Hal Jordan's since come back. It's comic books.
Okay.
Timelines are confusing. The stories are ridiculous. And look, I barely even know the guy past his reputation. Oh, he's just a wholesome all-American. Oh, I just don't like him. It's very snarky, very millennial writing. But then in this one, Themyscira, the all-female land that Diana comes from, is a place where they've solved so many of our society's ills: broken democracy, lagging technology, toxic masculinity,
How would they even exist?
Well, that's how they solved it. Just don't have men. You don't have toxic masculinity. No men, no masculinity, no toxic masculinity. It just makes
In a land
sense.
full of women, we had the problem of toxic masculinity and then solved it.
Apparently, maybe they weren't all women in the past, and then
Maybe they were women plus.
yeah, there were obviously women plus there. There's other things like I'm not going to show any of the clips because they're way too long. But
I've copyright strike.
Yeah, I've verified this myself. This is a 4chan post explaining what happens. So the Flash actually gets pissed on after you kill him. Green Lantern gets stripped down to his dorky Green Lantern themed boxers. So humiliations all around. Batman is mocked, then shot in the head on a park bench. But Wonder Woman, she doesn't turn evil because the reason you're killing them in the first place is because they've all turned evil due to a villain called Brainiac, except for Wonder Woman, who happened to somehow avoid the brainwashing.
Why are we killing her?
We're not killing her. She gets a tragic death because she almost saves you to kill Superman, but loses in a way that's not her fault. And then all of the squad members, the people like Harley Quinn and Boomerang Guy,
the
and
human
Shark
shark.
Guy, yeah, they cry for her. So it's so obvious. It's very telling what they're trying to do here. And then there's also this stuff in the game. In this, the accidental funniest tweet ever made. The Suicide Squad says trans rights. There's
The villains are yet again on our side.
No, Callum. The Suicide Squad.
Oh no!
Says trans rights.
No, I didn't even. Oh dear.
I think.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
They might not have thought this one through. So what changed? What changed? I'll let you settle on that one for a second. Yep. They don't think about
Where's
these
my
things,
hammer?
do they? Yep. It needs to go. It all needs to go. So what changed? Because it's the same company, supposedly the same company, Rocksteady, doing all of this.
You know
So
what? I hate everything we did.
Either all of the people in charge, smacked themselves in the head with a hammer, and this is what happened afterwards. Because to be fair, even the technical aspects, the game they did in 2015, Arkham Knight, looks better graphically than this. So everything has gone downhill. So let's take a look. So in the first one, Arkham Asylum, you can see the writing credits here. Bob Kane is listed just because he's along with Bill Finger, the creator of Batman, so he always gets credited. Directed by Sefton Hill. Paul Dini was the writer, and the lead narrative designer was this guy, and then you've got the rest of it. So who was Paul Dini? Paul Dini was actually one of the main people in charge of the Batman animated series. He is a very well-known comic book writer. Here's all of his television screenwriting, films he's written, all of his bibliography with comic books, and he's been given a number of awards. He's been nominated for Emmy Awards. He's won comics industry awards. A man with a great pedigree behind him. They thought, we need a really good start for this Batman story. Let's get the Batman writer in for it. Makes perfect sense, right? And with him, they wrote some great stories. The Suicide Squad. Different director, completely different writers. Paul Dini, not involved at all.
Why are there like 10 of them as well?
That's a good question. Well, let's find out. So, who are these people? So, we've got Ben Schroeder, aspiring video game writer, pronouns. Ali B, I would choose this to represent myself. Oh, sorry.
She, they.
Yep, she, they, script writer at Rocksteady Games.
I hate to judge people on their appearance, but another she, her here.
Yeah, she, her, writer and narrative designer, Sweet Baby Inc., previously at Rocksteady Games. We've got Grant K. Roberts, he, him, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights.
Face. Look at those faces.
Look at the expression on that guy's face. He's chosen
this
to...
man is an actual soy jack. This is
Oh.
what these people choose to represent themselves like this.
If I was going to try and create a character to represent soy boys, it would look something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then finally, Kim Belair, she, her, writer, narrative designer, CEO of Sweet Baby Incorporated.
I
So,
remember them.
yeah, you might remember them. So, this Grant is also Sweet Baby. Amy Lee Shaw, also Sweet Baby. The actual CEO of Sweet Baby Incorporated is a writer on this game, or at least has been given a writing credit. So, who are Sweet Baby? Let's go to their Twitter
That's what I was
account.
gonna
They've all-
ask. Yeah, I've
they've all
never
got it
heard of-
linked. Well,
They can't.
these tweets are protected. narrative and development and design, script writing, consultation, and more. Check out
What is that? What is that hat doing there?
the. Pan-African hat. Oh my goodness.
Yep. All right. Yep. That we was Ethiopians and Egyptians and
Yep. So if you're interested in Sweet Baby Inc., you need to check out Battle Shapers, Spider-Man 2, which we covered,
oh god,
and Alan Wake 2. And Spider-Man 2, we know how that went, where one of the side missions you could play as a black deaf girl spray painting slogans. What were those slogans she was spray painting? We BIPOC artists are birds of a feather to find the next clue, all band together. So actual ethnic resentment and ethnic solidarity propaganda being put into games. Sweet Baby Inc., you can go to their website, and it's very telling. Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Incorporated is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal, working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more fun, more engaging, more meaningful, and, probably most importantly, more inclusive for everyone. Also, look at how creepy this website is.
The eyes follow the cursor.
Literally, the eyes are following me. That's
the ass swirly things at the top as well.
We believe, this is their services, you need diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Incorporated provides a narrative consultation at any stage of development. So these people will basically prime people outside of just the consultation and writing that they will do for the game studios. They will also take newbies in the industry and provide consultation services for them, where they will prep them for being social justice advocates in everything that they do for all of the game studios that they might go to work with. And they work with a lot. So here's some of the stuff. Alan Wake 2 worked on character arc, voice, and sensitivity reading. Alan Wake 2
was sensitivity reading.
I think this game was about 13 years in the making. The first one was a very interesting horror thriller based around basically an homage to both Stephen King and Twin Peaks at the same time. Very interesting. Wasn't everybody's cup of tea. This, for some reason, decided to add this character, who I'm going to call Black Grievance Lady, to have no real part in the plot, just so that she can stand around and talk about black grievances. What else have they worked on? Spider-Man 2, we've talked about that. God of War Ragnarok, the game where it decided that Norse mythology needed some black people in it for some reason. An entire hour walking simulator section dedicated to random black character in Norse mythology. Interesting. And who else have they worked with? Our clients. Xbox Game Studios, EA, Valve, Santa Monica, Square Enix, Ubisoft, 2K, Warner Brothers, Deck 9, who made Connor's favorite games, Life is Strange, Rocksteady, right there, Polytron. They work with some big companies to make a lot of games and have direct influence on a lot of these games. They also have...
And their influences put a chick in it and make her gay, essentially.
Yeah. Make her gay and make her black. Make her a woman.
It feels like this is sort of Anita Sarkeesian's dream has come true.
This is why I've said she won. This is why I said she won, because this...
Is this actually her shell company? She's the secret majority shareholder.
Not exactly, but you can...
Sweet Baby.
I can guarantee that these people are all big fans of Anita Sarkeesian. They also have a Substack, which you can go to, where Friends of the Baby... The marketing, the actual branding around this whole company is very, very strange. The whole choice for Sweet Baby, Friends of the Baby, brought to you by Baby Power. Very, very weird. But they talk in here, this is the most recent one. Here's all of the games. Here's all of the absolute slop that we released and had a hand in.
We put a lot of chicks in it and made them gay.
Over the past year or so, we got 6 things. Look at this thing that we're working on in the future. Our friends at Surgent Studios dropped the trailer for their upcoming action-adventure platformer, Tales of Kenzeru Zao. We had the utmost pleasure of working with Abubakar Salim and the Surgent team on this poignant story, which has been heavily inspired and influenced by Bantu mythology. So I assume this is like African ethnic cleansing simulator.
Why would Abu Bakr be writing that?
I don't.
It's probably East African.
Yeah, probably. So here's some more propaganda where,
like idol worship.
The Bantus, they're just going to be depicted as the most peaceful, nature-loving, cooperative peoples to have ever existed on our beautiful green earth. And if white man gets involved in it, you just know it's going to be to ruin everything and enslave them.
So I feel more and more vindicated in my decision to stop playing any games in my 30s, early 30s. Yeah. I haven't really played games since GameCube came out.
That was probably a good cut-off point for it. GameCube was a good game.
I quite liked Monkey Ball on the GameCube. That's about...
Never playing Rome Total War or Medieval Total War? You'd love
a little bit of Rome 2.
Okay.
A little bit. I'm not completely 100% game free.
I know, play Rome 1.
All right.
There are a few, real-time strategy and large-scale strategy games that you can play where you can just take over the world.
I got hung up on Civ 4, Sid Meier's Civilization 4, which is really old now. Yeah, I haven't played Civ 5 or 6. Got no intention of buying any new console that comes out.
Fans of Hearts of Iron 4, where you can basically make any and all World War II simulations that you want come true.
But you ever noticed that all of those games, they're incredibly diverse, but they're not shite.
No, they're not.
They're not inclusive.
I do see adverts for games sometimes, and I think, if I had endless time and money, I'd buy a brilliant gaming PC and get into that. Like Cyberpunk, when that came out, I thought to myself, if I had the time and inclination, I would get involved in that universe. It looks great. I'm interested.
To be fair,
but not enough to actually go out and buy it and make it happen and spend my evenings in doing that. So I'm just not into games anymore.
CD Projekt Red, interestingly, Polish company, and not as far as I'm aware, it connected to any of these Sweet Baby style studios yet. So they made Witcher 3, which was very famously screeched at by Sarkeesian types for not having any black people in it. Yeah, it's based on Polish mythology from the Middle Ages. They wouldn't know what a black person was back then.
Same thing happened with Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh, yeah.
Made by a Czech company. Yeah. There are no black people in medieval Czechia. What do you...
And that was striving for historical accuracy as well. For that, I think the developer of that got labeled a Nazi. So that's always fun.
Yeah, and he just went, haha, I live in the Czech Republic.
What are you going to do?
Checkmate.
So just to finish this off, I did a little bit of digging and found that there was this interview panel that they did where it's a presentation where the CEO, Kim Belair, one of the people who wrote Suicide Squad, and David Berard, because they're Canadian. So they're French-Canadian. So they've got Frenchy style names. They spoke about the start of the company, what they're doing.
Dislike ratio.
Yeah, it's not great. Also, comments turned off. Yeah, that's to be expected. They say, I'll only play one clip, but there are a few screen grabs I want to point to here, because they talk about how they want to include more marginalized voices. There is an amusing visual this whole time, which I can only imagine mirrors the studio dynamics, in that the entire time, this woman is talking, the black woman is talking, while the white guy is focusing on getting the work done and moving them through the slideshow. So that's interesting. So they used to work in Ubisoft, which is a French-Canadian company, and then they started this after they left in 2018. They'd been part of other companies since then, and you can see a bit of why they decided to leave these larger studios in this, where she says, a long time ago, 2018, and this is Kim, her backstory, abusive game studio A, abusive transmedia studio B. What did I have to deal with? Pressure. Oh no, not pressure. You don't want to be pressured to do your job. Toxicity, misogyny, racism, etc., etc. Just because you know how it goes. Everybody who works for us, you know how it goes.
Don't believe you. Just don't believe you.
Right,
yeah.
It's like someone who finds problems endlessly in their life. Just like everyone around me is causing me to be abused or toxic or racist. Like it's like an incel who's telling you that it's all the girls that don't like me. All of the girls are wrong. All of them. Right.
Well, the interesting thing with this is that these people were already working in the industry. They started back in 2013 in very large companies, and they came from those companies, started this studio, which immediately started to get work with those companies again. Although it seems the business picked up in 2021, primarily due to BLM stuff, which is unsurprising. A lot of these companies wanted to prove their anti-racism credentials. But essentially, it seems to me that if it weren't for a company like this existing, either these places would do it in-house, or there would just be other companies, which there are, but other companies like this would exist, because this isn't an involuntary thing that these game studios are doing to themselves, it seems. These are the people who were in the companies, and now they just exercise more control over those companies up to this point. So it seems, because some people are saying that this company is forcing these companies to go woke. No, these companies are choosing to do it. There's also this slide, if I get the time here. So year one, what were they focusing on? They were focusing on getting representation as innovation, which was their thesis. And they say that the explanation for that was that it's not that they wanted to look at something and say, this offends me. They were looking at something and saying, I don't see myself in this. And that's
okay, narcissist, go look in a mirror.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's narcissistic, isn't it? It's just all about me.
Have you heard of mirrors? You'll love them.
Yeah. But that's most of the actual interesting information. But there was one last bit at the end that I had to clip. I had to clip in here because it's so telling, because they're constantly going on about how it's very neurodivergent inclusive. Kim herself says that she's neurodivergent.
Oh, I bet.
They're really wanting to make sure that lots of mentally ill people can work comfortably for them. And that impacts, as you would imagine, the work ethos and the way that they manage their projects. And let's hear how that translates, into, let me get the proper timestamp up here. Let's see how that translates into their work ethic. If I go about here.
I have to unmute.
Specificity of that neurodiversity.
I'm still firmly convinced that us as the neurodiverse people are in the vast majority in this industry. And
yeah.
It's the people that don't have these issues are the ones that I worry about.
The ones they're also conveniently too often making the production plans, and I'm like, wait a second, no, we can work differently.
We don't do plans.
Yeah, exactly.
We procrastinate and then get 8 hours of work done in an hour, 30 minutes before it's finalized. Yes, that's how we work things.
Well, actually, that's a good point. Specifically, because one of the reasons that we in terms of payment, we work on retainers. We do like a monthly rate, and it's specifically because I know that there's going to be days where I have a script to write, and it should take me a week, and I do it in 1 hour. But then there's also going to be scripts that should take me 1 hour, and I do it in a week. But as long as it gets done by the deadline, that's what matters. So kind of baking in that flexibility and not holding people down to like a certain number of hours that they have to self-report has been hugely, I think, freeing for us as a team, especially one who have different work methodologies.
And
spoken like a lazy moron.
Yeah. So, who
that
cares if you shat it out in an hour? As long as it's on the deadline, who cares?
What's more important is it any good?
Right, yeah.
And so far it's shite.
Yeah.
That's how you behave when you're an undergrad or when you're a child. That's how you behave. You're like, I've got this big essay, it needs to be done. Here's the hard deadline, and you just procrastinate until you've got hardly any time left, and you rush it out just in time for the hard deadline. Yeah, that's how a sub-adult conducts themselves. Yeah.
Well, they are going on about how mentally ill they are.
I like it.
And
I used to do it, by the way.
Yeah,
that is the story of my undergrad days and my A levels. That's how I got through my A levels.
But when you're a paid professional working with the biggest game studios in the world and Valve as well.
I don't know. I mean, if she could do it and it was gold, you wouldn't care.
Yeah, but
it's not gold.
Callum,
yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point.
This was an idea half an hour before the deadline. Oh shit! You deaf black spray paint. What are they going to say? Something about black people.
Yeah, I can see how this got made now.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense.
Put a chicken and make her deaf.
And black. Fuck me. So there you go. If you're wondering why games suck now, that's certainly one of the reasons. So if you are going to keep playing games, either play strategy games like Callum suggested, or just get an old PS2 or GameCube. Stick to the classics.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on Henry III, Part 2. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.